What was that?
Sorry, my internet's terrible.
Kayla, I think, is breaking up.
She's on mute. She's not trying to say anything, is
She
she?
needs to go live first.
There she is. Okay, sorry, Kayla.
You're good to go.
You're breaking up badly.
Breaking up's hard to do.
So can I start then, Kayla? Yeah, I see.
We knew
Well,
that
let me,
you don't talk like that, Kayla.
Where do you live?
oh, now we're good to start. So now I'm calling the meeting to order officially. And again, approval of the agenda, and the two people who raised their hands were Brian and Jeremy. So mover is Brian and seconder is Jeremy. We're good to go. And anybody want to disclose any pecuniary interest, disqualifying interest, etc.? Anything going on? Great, glad to hear it. Now we just need approval of the minutes of the May 5th meeting. May I have somebody move that we approve those minutes, please? Tom, seconder, please. Brian, all in favor? And
Yep.
we're good. Thank you. And now we're into the business arising from the minutes, and I'd like to welcome Stuart Lazier, a guest at our meeting today. And Stuart is going to give us a Village Green update. And Stuart, you're off.
Okay. By the way, I did take a look at your minutes after your last meeting, so I did put a little bit of thought into those. So I'm happy to discuss those at some point. But let me first of all start by saying that the Village Green is doing very well. It's making good progress. We were hoping to have it open by the end of June, but due to a whole bunch of delays caused by everything from steel availability to getting galvanizing done to, you name it, ordering materials. And I think a lot of this relates back to COVID. Plus we had engineering issues we ran into. And but everything's on the move, and it looks like the target currently is somewhere towards the end of August, early September, as per the dependent upon what happens with COVID and its impact on our supply chain. We know what we need. We got everything ordered. It's just a matter of when it can get here. So that's good news. We have completed, some of you may have noticed, the stage was poured last week. We put about 12 loads of cement into the first level of the foundation. We've got another 8 loads to go in the balance of it. So that's a massive amount of concrete. But we've got to hold up a steel deck roof and some other things. So it's important to have the right structural components involved. So that we expect to have poured within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then we've got to let it cure for a month, and then we'll be trying to get the steel finished in time to put on immediately thereafter. So in the meantime, a lot of the underground services have been done. We've had to upgrade to a 400 amp service from a 100. We looked at piggybacking onto the Station of the Green, but it just didn't make any sense. Your system is just too small for what we would need. We've got a number of big pumps to run both the splash pad and the fountain, so that piggybacking didn't make any sense, to be honest with you. What else is there? The 400 amp services there will be moving at a couple of the telephone poles, EPCOR will, and we've got 3 new transformers going in because when you move one, you have to apparently upgrade the transformers. So we had to do that. Always fun and games dealing with them. The good news is that, you know, we're paying for the transformers and they're covering the cost of the relocation of the poles in their budget this year. So that's very good news. Also, and Terry, well, I'll deal with the park first. Pretty much all of the planting, the major trees have been ordered. Everything's sitting waiting. So that's in plan. After we get the stage poured, the next phase of the operation is to pour what we call cast in place concrete. What that is, for those of you who don't know, is basically the pathway along the paths. Each path has a ribbon of concrete, and then you come through, you put your gravel down and you lay down your pavers on the gravel. So plus we have to put in signage, signage bases and chair bases and a whole bunch of different concrete that goes into that. So it's quite an elaborate pour, and it's quite complicated. But that is the next stage where we get that done. And the electrical, although we've got the main electrical services in, we're now in the process of distributing the balance of the electrical from the pump house out to the various power poles and lighting and so on that's in the park. So there's a lot of underground work necessary here, way more than anybody will think. When they look at the top, they go, hey, what's so complicated about this? Well, it's quite complicated. And it's run a little bit more in terms of cost and expense. We have spent about, our plan is to spend somewhere around 2.6 million, which is about 600,000 more than we thought, but that's due to an increase in scope of work, plus of the splash pad, plus a lot of these underground conditions. And our material costs have gone up between 25 and 50%. So that is just what it is. The good news is, on the other side of the coin, we've raised about $3.5 million. So, and our target is 4 million now. So we're fine to get this done. And that's very much thanks to Tony Errol. And I've been doing a little bit of help there, but it's mainly been his heavy lifting on that one, which has been great. And we've got very broad community engagement, a lot of different people, but we haven't yet really started the local, because of COVID, we couldn't really do that. So we've got the current gardens and the horticultural societies. You know, we've got money raised for the gardens. It's probably pushing towards 20,000 now. We had an initial target of about 10, but I think we're going to hit 20. I think there's just a lot of broad-based support for this throughout the community, and we're very excited about it. So that's pretty much on the physical side. I'll go to the people side and the operating side in a moment, but are there any other questions on the physical side?
Yeah.
Okay, well, one other point might be access to the washrooms. Access to the washrooms is obviously very important to you and the community, and we appreciate that. And I know there was a meeting on Monday, which I was not in attendance, but maybe Terry, you could just give a quick summary of that. I think you were there, weren't you?
Yeah, you mean on Monday morning regarding the access to the washroom, Stuart?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think so. I don't know if Linda, if you had shared my email from last week to the rest of the board, but
yes, I believe I did, but
all right, fantastic. So yeah, so as per my email that I sent last week, if you walk by the Station on the Green, Village Green area right now, you will see that the hoarding fence has been moved up right up to the building. So right now they're in the process of removing the existing lock stone that's there and preparing the grounds to be able to put in the new lock stone. It may cause issues, you know, once we open up those washrooms as per the partnership between the VIA, the Clearview Township, and the Station on the Green to provide those washrooms to the folks from downtown. And as we met with the general contractor as well as Abby who's Stuart's main contact person down there at the Village Green. And we came up with at least 4 to 5 different options to be able to provide the access to those washrooms when the time comes. We feel very confident that the existing doorway and the existing walkway that's there, we can move fences, there's all kinds of things that we can do. Plus, they may be further along with preparing the grounds and even putting in a new lock stone than what we think. Maybe, right now the washrooms will not be provided until the provincial lockdown is lifted, which right now we know it's at least June the 2nd, if it's not postponed even further. We will deal with it once we know where we're at. If the washrooms don't get open till at least middle of June, then that might solve all problems. Again, we're going to play it by ear. We're going to see where we're at once those washrooms become available and where the Village Green crew are at that point in time. But like I said, there are a bunch of different options that we have to make sure that those front doors are accessible to the public.
Yes, and again, thank you for doing that, because the contractors have been very agreeable, because when that, because as it was thought that things would happen a little bit sooner anyway. So now that lockdown is at least until the 2nd, we're doing well. And so that's working out. And we've got one way of getting into the station anyway. There's the exterior door that goes right into the kitchen. It's the door that also uses the front door key. So the cleaning, Debbie can get in there, and anything else that needs to get in, you can get in through that door. So we're good that way too, but thank you.
One other thing, if there does happen to be other needs that are required, if we need to change a lock or do something to provide access hardware or whatever is necessary on some other part of the building while it is under construction and you are limited in terms of access, we're more than happy to cover that cost.
It's going to be interesting. I am curious about that, because depending on, if that hoarding fence isn't up for very long, that would be great. But if we're allowed, to open the station at some point in time, that's when that would be essential, because we would need another entrance from the outside where there's handles and things to be able to get in.
That's right, Linda, and that's
right now it's doing okay.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, I just wanted to make mention of that. We just want to make sure that there's a absolute minimum of disruption, and we're actually taking a little bit of a sigh of relief because you're closed. I know it's not what you want to do, but we are. I think that simplifies things a little bit from our end of it. So let's talk a little bit about people. We are in the process of putting together a committee of a management committee to supervise, and its primary function is going to be to supervise the manager of the Village Green, because we wanted to have an independent group from the foundation that would sort of monitor what's going on, and if there's a problem, people can go to them if they're not getting the right answers or the solutions adequately from the manager of the Village Green. So this committee is being formed as we speak. It's intended to be local people. We have not people who come up on the weekends and that kind of thing. It's intended to really be local people who are plugged into the local community. We've got a chairperson that we've put together for this, which is Sue-Ann Wickwire. Sue-Ann used to be the president of Purple Hills and has been in the community, lived in the community full-time for 26 years. We're going to get we want to get a couple of other younger people from the village involved as well to work together with her. So she's just busy sourcing that. And if you have any names that you'd like to suggest or recommend, we're more than happy to consider them. Surprisingly enough, it's quite difficult finding the right people for this, but more than happy to. But the primary role would be to take care of of managing the manager, which shouldn't be an overly consuming time, assuming we get the right person on board. There might be other things that committee could do, but that's its primary goal to start with. So I'm going to talk about the two people that we're looking at bringing on board. We're looking to bring on a part-time maintenance person. I'm not sure exactly when, to be honest with you, but it'll be before opening. When I say opening, I don't mean grand opening, I mean opening of the park. We need to have someone who understands how to use the water, how to use, we're going to have a contract with the Acapulco Pools to come in for the first period of time to make sure that everything's properly opened up, shut down and managed, and that we get the appropriate chemical mixes and everything meets health inspection and so on. But we do ultimately hope to have our individual not only maintain the park and work together with the Horticultural Society on their gardens a little bit, but also maintain the rest of the park to a very high standard, and the water systems that we have. So, we don't think that's a full-time job, but putting a half-time person in there may make some sense. And so the second person that we're going to hire, so that person will probably be the end of August, September sometimes. The second person is likely not going to be hired until, well, we were planning on doing it sooner, but because of these delays, we're not planning on having any grand opening this year. But so we're not going to be programming events unless the Station on the Green has something that they want to use it for. They're welcome to use it. But there's no programming that's going to happen on our side of it until likely Christmas, where we'll probably have, we'll have the community Christmas tree, and then we'll probably do some kind of a Christmas theme, Christmas lights theme, and maybe we're looking at putting a small skating rink for the little guys in. Not the big kids, but just a little sort of putz around, skating around thing, maybe 20 by 40 or whatever. Just to, you can have a hot chocolate and with some twinkle lights and just sort of a community thing, right? That's about it. And then we'll do a couple of events around Christmas probably. So we're likely looking at bringing this individual on sometime. The manager would be brought on, I would say, late October, maybe early mid-October, to get this, so they'd have 6 weeks to both get up to speed and get this plan going. And then they'll start programming for next year, which is, and working together with the BIA on a little bit of their programming too. So job one for this individual, again, is focusing on events for the park, which should be, and we're really hoping that this is going to be an asset for the Station on the Green. We feel it is. I know there's been some question amongst your group, but I'm hopeful that you'll see, once we get the program up and going, that this is a great thing for our community. It's a great thing for the station, and the station is a great thing for the park. I mean, there's how do you say that?
Symbiotic.
Symbiotic. That's it. Thank you.
Or synchronicity as well.
Yeah, I know. Symbiotic is what I was trying to find. But I'm now just turned 70, so I'm over the hill and I'm just sliding down. So I've got lots of reasons.
Picks up speed.
So that's what's going on with the people side. Again, if you have ideas of people, and I know that Linda mentioned to me possibility of your I don't know what you call a person, manager or events
Well,
coordinator.
she's our booking agent.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it could be
yeah.
anybody. There's no preconceived notion. The only thing is, this person's got to be high energy. They've got to be sensitive. They've got to be able to listen. We've got a whole job description set out for it, but we're just not quite ready to go out with it yet. But when we do, we're quite optimistic we'll find someone, and we're probably looking somewhere in the 40 to 50 range in terms of compensation.
Not age.
Right. Well, it could be age, but that's the comp level that we're looking at. So hopefully we'll be able to hire a really good person that'll really be able to work well with your booking agent, Linda, and the board. And there'll be, but in the event of problems, we have that safety valve, which is the management committee. So that's the whole purpose behind the management committee. It's the whole purpose behind bringing in this individual to coordinate the events and to work together with the BIA and the Station on the Green and the rest of the community. So
thank you. That sounds very, I know I I was lucky enough, Sue Ann Wickwire gave me a call and we had quite a long discussion. We've had a couple of chats. And this management committee sounds like a good plan. And hopefully all will go well.
Well, she's very attentive and.
Oh, yes, she is. Yes.
She cares and but we've also given her sort of a carte blanche to do what she thinks she needs to do. We just want to make sure we understand the people that she brings onto the committee are going to be local people and they're going to be younger because we need to have some youth and we need to have some succession planning because she's not she's probably my age. I might insult her by saying that, but she's much younger than I am. But anyway, we do need to get some younger people involved. And I think this is a great opportunity too for younger kids to start. And if, by the way, there are other things that this committee chooses to do that the foundation might want to support, for example, one of the ideas that's come up is, actually, before I go there, what I'll do is I'll talk about a vision for Creemore, which is another part of what we've just completed. Hopefully, some of you or all of you completed the questionnaire that was sent out about whether the foundation hired ERA and Small again to do something called a vision for Creemore. And really, it's not the vision; it's just a vision, and it's intended to be focused on what are other things that the foundation can get involved in supporting over the next few years as we continue to raise money. And so one of the items that fell out of that, and we haven't quite got the final report yet, but there was a huge amount of feedback and it was great feedback that we got from many people and all different walks of life too. People who lived in town forever and newcomers to town. It was really interesting to see the demographic involvement. But one of the things that popped out of this was a real issue with volunteerism in the community and aging volunteers and people who and some of these organizations, for example, the Hort's been very vocal to say, we need more volunteers, we need younger volunteers, our volunteers are getting too old, they can't bend over anymore. So one of the things that came out of this is, well, why don't we look at trying to put in place a volunteer software program that could be used and integrated into a website where people, if they wanted to find out what they could do in the community, whether it's station on the green board positions, whatever it was, it could be anything. And it wouldn't be our website at the foundation. This could just be an independent website set up for Creemore. Could be a very exciting opportunity to try to get anybody who's interested in volunteering engaged in the community. Whether you're farming, hill people, locals, whatever, just say, I'm gonna go look and see what's going on with that website, see if there's anything interesting on there. A lot of the kids in school need volunteer programs and they're having trouble finding the volunteer hours. Maybe that's something that could help them too. So we're looking at it from a holistic standpoint. This is not us. This would be a Creemore initiative by a community that would be very simple to do because this is being done in other communities very successfully. Why wouldn't we do it here? Well, yes, we're smaller than other communities, but doesn't mean we don't have the wherewithal to be able to pull this together. So that's just one idea of something that popped out of this. And there are other ideas too. There are lots of other ideas. So some of them we can implement, some of them we can't. We have to work with the township. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Patty has a
I'm
question.
okay right now.
Patty?
Yes, thanks. Thanks a lot. I was just sort of typing these things. There's a lot of stuff to unpack. Stuart, thanks so much for all of the information you're providing today. And forgive me if, first of all, I'm sorry I missed the meeting last time. And but today seems like a good day to bring up a couple of things that I just had a question on. The first thing, as you can see, I've got, there is a question and answer at the bottom, says Q&A, and you can type things in that that you would like to ask people, just for those that might not be Zooming. first of all, the continuity, obviously, they're recognizing the village green is recognizing the orientation of, or the theme of railway. So so regarding the lighting and signage, I know that we were approached regarding changing the signs on the station, and I don't want to rip a Band-Aid off of anything. So I'll just say that I'm wondering whether or not there was some sort of sensitivity to continuity of the designing of the station on the green and the light fixtures and everything else to match what the station on the green was, the village green, station on the green. It should have some sort of flow, and I suspect that they probably did something like that. But we just replaced the lights, let's say, in the parking lot, and we have actually just replace the signs. So is that something that we need to readdress?
It's a done deal already.
So the lighting that is in the new village green may not match or look like the lighting that's on the station on the green?
That's correct.
Okay.
And dealt with this subject, the lighting in the parking lot, that product is now extinct. So it would be possible for the foundation to match it, and I'm sure they'll come up with something that looks great.
Yeah, we've spent, we're spending a fair bit of money on lighting just for the park. I don't know, it's about 80,000 in materials and about 50,000 in labor and wiring and so on, which is and I think you're okay, Patty, with the lighting. I mean, let's look at it when it's done, and let's see how it feels and looks. I think the train station needs a little bit of that heritage architecture on it, where the park is going to be a little bit more of an invitation in. It doesn't have to be contemporary. I mean, the signage in the park is a little more contemporary, which I think can be quite different than what the station on the green is. I think the station on the green is quite a lovely building. We just approached you to redo that one sign facing Mill Street because it's so small, but you don't want to do it. That's fine. It's your call.
Well, I actually, I agree with you. Let's see what everything looks like. The other thing that I had regarding the lighting, and you're upgrading to a 400 amp service, the cost of which I'm very familiar with. I'm wondering whether or not there's an opportunity for the station on the green to take advantage of the updated electrical that's being provided to the park now. If we might be able to reverse this, and the station could piggyback on that.
Why would we need that?
I don't know.
I personally have like a generator. Is there going to be generators for power outages or anything of that nature in our future?
Not that we have discussed.
Well, might be looking at something like that, and 400 amp service would be very what's the continuity of it? It would be able to facilitate a generator, and therefore we would have a place of safety in times of danger, ice storms, evacuation shelter for the village, whatever, like there's a future here that we need to start thinking about. And there's an opportunity here to piggyback on this electrical service. So I'm merely bringing it up as something that I'd like to mention. I've got a couple of other things I'll finish here. Okay, so now regarding the management group, that sounds great. We were hoping that we would also be able to take advantage of a common booking agent role so that we could stay in tandem with what's going on in the park and in the station.
Patty, we weren't talking about using the same booking agent, but we were saying that we have to work together. The important thing is that the booking agents have to work together. We have discussed that in the past, yes.
Yeah, and we're fine with that, Patty. I think that's really important. I think I don't know anything about the system that's been put in by the township, but if you guys are using it and we use it and it meets our needs, I think that's a good start.
Um,
And if it doesn't, that's fine. Then we'll just have to make sure there's more communication and discussion.
Yeah,
Right.
because the township hasn't put in a booking program as yet. It was a plan, but it does not exist.
Okay, well, then we'll just have to have an open line of communication, and that's the way it'll have to be.
Now, is there anything, Pear, I know had his hand up. Is
I
there
haven't
anything?
finished, Linda.
Oh,
Thanks.
sorry, Patty, go for it.
It was a bit of a time. Okay, so the Acapulco Pools, I've never heard of those, Stuart. Are they local?
They're out of Toronto. They're the only people that could do a fountain and splash pad of the kind that we have. There's no one local to be able to build that.
Okay, okay. And then, because our theme is always about local, as I'm sure.
Yeah,
you're
no, trust me,
sensitive to.
everything possible has been sourced locally, but unfortunately you can't get everything locally. So particularly in COVID.
Right. Well, then the other part of it is the events that may be scheduled. You've got an anticipated timeline of bringing someone in to coordinate your events in October. And I'm wondering whether or not there's some expectation that, I mean, the first event that comes to mind for me is Copper Kettle. And if that's going to happen or not. And then we've got the horse parade at Thanksgiving and the BIA. So are you in communication with the BIA, somebody involved on your board that is connected with the BIA to be with the continuity for their events?
Yes, this person will be doing that, but we're not planning on having, like, I think the likelihood of festivals and large festivals happening is very limited and to be, I think, almost impossible this summer. The BIA is not planning any events for this year. So we're matching the BIA and saying, okay, well, they probably know better than we do what's going on. So that's, but if something does, if things turn around quickly and we have to make a change, we'll just simply go out and hire that person a month or so earlier, too earlier. But we are not actually going to have an active program. I suspect that the hunt coming through town is not going to happen. But we'll have to wait, to be honest with you, Patty, to see. But whatever coordination there is, we will have someone coordinating that should we have events in the park. But we will have the park maintained, which is the more important thing this year.
Great. Now, one last thing. So is Sue-Ann, I didn't catch her last name, Sue-Ann
Wickwire.
Wickwire, would she be the point person to talk to if we had any inquiries or whatnot at this point?
Inquiries for events?
Just in terms of connecting, and rather than going to you specifically, if we were to, we want to have, let's say, boots on the ground. Is she the one that you would call that?
Well, I wouldn't say she's not the backup manager of the Village Green. We don't have a manager. So from my perspective, she will say what I say is that we're not booking anything. Unless it's something that requires coordination during construction. We'll take your name and you feel free to call us back in October.
Well, I know that we're having, we're challenged financially and I'm going to throw that out there at the station because we've had no income now for well over 15 months. And obviously we have people that are anxious to find out what's going to happen on Ontario so that we could actually open and start taking small events, legal events, obviously, and that might happen as soon as July. So we'll, eventually need to have a person who's in Creemore all the time that we could speak to if we're going to have said events just in the meantime, because I've encouraged them to take tentative reservations for events, waiting for when you think you're going to be finished, when we have inquiries. And so that's why I'm just thinking that if we do have some inquiries that, let's say, go into July, August for small legal events at the station on the green, that we could actually book something, who would we contact? And that's what
I
I'm
think you
sort
need to then, Patty. We just need to make sure the doorway's open and access is provided. I don't think there's a lot of contact necessary, to be honest with you, because we're not going to be, we just have to make sure it's accessible for you to use. And I think that's the most important thing. And once you have that accessibility sorted, what I'm trying not to do, just quite specifically, is that if I put Sue Ann on the front line, then she's going to get calls from everybody. And that's not what I want to have happen. And I think I think we're better off to just make sure that you're open. If you've got an event planning, we're not planning any events. If we start planning events, then we will have to start that communication line. But
And that works. I think that works out reasonably well. Patty, was that was the last question you had? I
That's
believe?
it.
All right, Perry, you had a question.
No, that's fine. I'd like to speak to the committee, to the board, after our guests have finished with their presentations.
Okay, we'll be good with that. Now, are there any other questions that Stuart can deal with? Okay, Anthony?
My question's actually Stuart and Terry. I'm sure like June 2nd, if we open up, the church will probably want to inquire about renting the station. There's no handicap parking now, and accessibility for handicap persons into the station. Can we still rent out the station?
I could tackle that one, Stuart.
Sure.
Linda, and good question, Anthony. The answer is going to be yes. We're going to have to figure out a way to provide accessible parking and accessible access to the building. Again, it'll depend on when that happens, and when, if you're using the church as the example, we have to look at when they want to start. But we'll, like I said earlier, we're working with the general on site and working with Abby. We'll be able to figure that out. There's ways of putting up temporary accessible parking. We own accessible signage that could be erected, portable signage to identify a specific location. My gut tells me, Anthony, we'll probably have to use more the street side versus the parking lot side. So identify proper accessible parking down on the street, and use that path and make sure there's an accessible path from the street through the building. And we might not be able to provide accessible parking from the back parking lot. That might not be able to happen, but you never know. Again, it really depends on where we're at, where the Village Green crew is at with the construction, and when the church actually wants to start. But I feel very confident we'll be able to provide means of providing that access.
So
Any other questions? Oh, Anthony?
just to follow up on that, is one of the options maybe to finish the portion against the station on the green immediately, then move the hoarding fence, and then we don't have to worry about it till August. Because if we wait till August, if that's going to be the last part that's completed, we're going to be dealing with this fence till the end of August.
Yeah.
But if they complete it first, they can move the hoarding fence over. We'll have accessibility for the washrooms and the station. Is that an option?
Yeah, that is an option. If I may, Linda, again, in discussion with the general and with Abby, that is something they're going to explore. It is they recognize that providing access to the station on the green sooner than later is part of their plan. They've communicated that to us. So again, it depends on a lot of different factors. Weather comes into play, access to material, like Stuart had mentioned earlier. There are different factors that might provide a bit of a wrench, but that is their goal, is to try to provide access, permanent access to the building as soon as they possibly can.
Thank you. Anything else for our guest?
I do like that idea, Anthony, and I'm just going to suggest that we could save a great deal of money, Terry, if we could piggyback on all of the concrete that's being poured for the Village Green to create the proper access for ramping and walks for accessibility. If somebody could jump on that and plan it at the same time, we'll save a great deal of money.
Sorry, Patty, I don't know what you're referring to. I think the existing plans that are in place are providing proper accessible access to the building. There is no ramps required. It's ground level. I don't know what money you're referring to, but the new design, that whole new, call it west side of the building, will currently provide 100% accessibility to that building.
But if you have to park for accessibility purposes on the street, you're gonna have to cut a curb and have a ramp there.
Oh, you mean the temporary measures you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it wouldn't be temporary. I think it'd just be a clever move to make for going future and creating accessibility for the building and the village green.
I don't foresee there being any additional expenses for the station on the green, Patty. If there's cutting of curbs, that's a township initiative. I don't foresee there being any additional expenses for the station on the green.
Okay.
Thank you, Terry. Brian, I know you had your hand up.
Yes, thanks, Linda. For Stuart, there's an email from you, goes back to October 2019. I'm sure you remember it. But you mentioned the foundation's intention to take over the fountain capital and maintenance programs. Is that still the intention of the foundation?
Yes.
Good, Brian, yep.
It
Yes.
is. Then I have a question to Terry. Under the management agreement, section 3 says Clearview is responsible to maintain the current fountain works and to maintain the statues in the fountain. That seems to be at odds with what Stuart is and what we understood originally.
Yep. I think it's a joint effort, Brian. Again, it depends on, what you refer to as maintenance. If it's general maintenance, cleaning of it, washing of it, that kind of maintenance, that's stuff that the Village Green and their maintenance staff would tackle. If it's actually like a crack in the fountain or a crack in the display and that kind of stuff, that would be more of a township initiative. So it really depends on what problem has to be solved. So it's a bit of a joint effort when it comes to that fountain. Again, it really depends on what's really required.
Right, so
The township still owns, sorry, Brian, the township will still own that fountain, right? The township will own the lands, it will own the fountain. So it is responsible from a certain maintenance perspective, like a major maintenance item, but minor maintenance items is going to be taken care of by the staff of the Village Green.
So if there are major maintenance,
What vandalism?
that will that flow out of Clearview's budget, but not ours?
Correct. That's correct.
Good.
And that would,
Stuart, I believe you wanted
Vandalism.
to say something.
Oh, I did?
what about
Sorry.
vandalism to this?
No, it's okay. I'll, Pear.
Go
you've been-
ahead, Pear. You're saying about vandalism? Is that what you're trying to say? Pear? Pear?
It's frozen.
He's frozen. I know what he was,
Well,
he was
bring
about
over
to say
Sharon's-
something about vandalism, I believe, to the fountain. Pear? 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 You wanted to
Correct,
talk?
yes. What about, yes, the vandalism, should that happen to the fountain, who would be responsible in that case?
That's maintenance. That's us.
Thank you. Yes, because I know that in all of this, the one thing that as soon as that fountain was going to be moved, anything to do with the fountain is no longer the responsibility of anything to do with the station board.
That's right.
That is now, and that has been, I hope that is 100% the case.
It is.
And I hope getting yeses here.
Yeah,
Now-
and Linda, if I can just add very quickly, I apologize. I know people are trying to cut in. Again, when it comes to vandalism, it depends on the extent of the vandalism. If it's just, people spray paint or something like that, then Stuart's correct. That's something that they would maintain. But if somebody completely destroyed the fountain, just completely destroyed it. The township insures the property, it insures the fountain, and that would be an insurance claim. So again, it really depends on the extent of the vandalism. God forbid, hopefully nothing ever happens, but
Oh,
it really depends on the extent.
yes, it is. Now, again, Stuart, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to respond and maybe appropriately to sharing of the electrical service. It's very difficult to do that at this point in time, unless you do it within the next 30 days. You'd have to run a line over, and I'm not sure the benefit, because if your power goes out, Patty, your power goes out. It goes out for us, it goes out for the station. If everybody's down, everybody's down, so there's not really a backup for you. I would, in looking at your system, there is some additional capacity there, not a lot, but a little. And I don't think this is the backup solution for that. And we have some surplus capacity as well that could be used. We probably only need a 300 amp service, 275 to 300, but we had to put 400 in because it was over 200. So anyway, I think if there's power requirements required outside the station, we could certainly complement that. Frankly, so that's really all I wanted to say about the power. I don't know whether you would agree with that or not, but that would be my observation.
Thank you. Any other questions while we still have Stuart with us before we move on to the rest of the meeting? Brian?
Right, it's not a question, it's more of a comment. And first, thank you, Stuart, for coming to the meeting. What you've provided is quite interesting, and you made the comment about a symbiotic relationship between the village green and the station. And I think it should very much be a symbiotic relationship, that the two parts should perhaps support and act as leverage for each other. And rather than seeing it in two parts, it would be good to work towards seeing it as a whole. And I don't know how we do that, but if we're able to do that, I think it would be good for both parties to combine together in some kind of a relationship that works for both.
Yeah, Sue Ann and I had some similar conversation. So it has been mentioned. So we'll just have to see how it works out. But Sue Ann and I did have that as part of our conversation, saying that we're just not, is there any way that we can make sure that everything works well together? And hopefully it will, when the management committee is on board and when there are people who are hired. Now, Stuart, did you want to add anything else?
I just want to conclude by saying, first things first, Brian, I think you're right. I think but I think we have to prove that we can work together as a team and that we can be responsive to each other and that we're reasonable and responsible business partners. And I think then we can take a look at how we can move forward. I think the most important thing is to get through this construction phase, make sure we address your issues and problems, and then very quickly thereafter get going on events and mutually working together to develop a really great relationship over the next couple of years. So that's my challenge, and to a certain extent yours, but more mine. But we're very excited by the opportunity. We do think it's symbiotic. We do think there's lots of benefits that'll go both ways. And we're very happy to be working together with you guys. So thank you for your support.
And thank you very much, Stuart. Really appreciate you coming to the meeting and filling us in and keeping us up to date.
Okay, anytime you want me to come back, Linda and group, just let me know. Happy to come back. Just send me an invite and say, hey, we'd like you to come to this meeting, and I can change most of my other things if I've got them on. This is more important to me. So top priority. So anyway, I'll leave you be. Thanks very much, and have a great day and a good balance of the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye. All right. And now we are ready to move on to the financial report. Brian. Oh,
sorry.
Terry, yes, sir. You're leaving?
Did you want me to stay, or do you have any questions for me, or leave? It's up to you. I'm ready to
All right,
wait.
let's check before we go on to finance. Are there any more questions that Terry can answer before he decides he has to leave? Anthony?
Well, we're gonna discuss the garbage and refuse that's going on around the station. I'm wondering if the township has anything to do with that. That would be directed to Terry, like if we do put out garbage cans and stuff, would the township empty them or?
No, well, through you, Linda, to my knowledge, Anthony, no, it won't be township staff that will be managing.
It's not considered park right now, like?
Correct, yeah. So as per our agreement, the Village Green maintenance staff will be handling the garbage on the Village Green Park.
Yeah,
So-
so in anything on the station property area, we would have to remember, like, that's what Steve used to do when
Yeah.
Irene and Steve were there. So, yeah. So
Yeah,
we're better off just, once the garbage containers go into the Village Green, that might be the only place we need. It might be acceptable there.
Yeah, so Anthony, I mean, you're correct. Our staff maintains the garbages in most of our parks, but there are some parks from time to time that we don't manage the garbage. And it's usually parks that are managed by other organizations. And Village Green is one of those examples where they're going to be managing the garbage on their site themselves.
Thank you. Terry, are you going to stay? Oh, Ryan, you have another question for Terry?
Yes, Terry, again, under the management agreement, part 3, it says that the Clearview Township is responsible to pay any and all utility costs, water, electricity, and sewer for the subject lands. Are they going to be on separate meters, or how is that going to be done?
That, to my knowledge, Brian, yes, there will be on a separate meter. And I think if I recall, there was a bit of an amendment to the agreement regarding the usage of hydro, because the original intent was just to cover, the hydro of the fountain and lights that were already on site. The splash pad kind of enhanced the need for hydro. So there was a amendment that was done after the fact, so that they're still going to be paying the portion of the splash pad, and the township's just going to cover what it used to cover. But again, I think we're going to wait to see what the overall hydro load was of those pumps, because they're only going to be on for, that splash pad's only going to be working for about 2 months, 2 to 3 months a year. We're not talking year round. So I think that agreement still has to be finalized once they know exactly the usage. But yeah, it's supposed to be on different meters.
Well, Terry, I hate to
So
tell
that
you,
one
but
is-
Jeremy had a question. Patty,
Excuse me.
Patty,
Just
Jeremy
correct.
had his hand up. Jeremy?
right.
Excuse me, can
Yeah.
I just follow up with what was said? Just as treasurer, will this be flowing through our budget or Clearview's budget? Any of these costs?
Through Clearview's budget.
As treasurer, I thank you.
Now, Jeremy, your hand, what was that?
Thank you. Terry, one of the things that we've been interested in is that the booking system that you've been looking into. And I
Yes.
wonder what the status of that is, because we've not really had any recently, and we see that Pence on that quite a great deal in this arrangement.
Yeah, and thanks for asking that. When Stuart was talking about that earlier, I thought, oh, I would love to provide a bit of an update. So thanks for that question. Yeah, so the original intent of the booking software that the township purchased was to share that software and share that resource, that staff person, to provide that booking for other halls. That was the original intent. Unfortunately, the system that we purchased, after we purchased it, we found out that it's not as flexible for outside users. And the reason why it's done that way is because they want to sell their software to various users. They don't want one software and 10 users on it, as an example. It's very similar to computer software. You're supposed to use one software per computer. So the problem is that the way the rec desk, which is what it's called, the way it's set up is that if we were to provide outside access, so other halls, other organizations, everybody has access to the same information. So meaning that, as an example, if we would provide it to the 6 small halls that we have in Clearview Township, Station on the Green and let's just use Evening as an example because it's the closest one. You guys would have access to each other's information and you can book each other's facilities, which is obviously not what we want. It gets too complicated and there's too many opportunities for errors or issues. And so, so we've talked to Rec Desk back in 2019, near the end of 2019, and said, can you guys, tweak your software to be able to exclude different outside sources to have access to the information? And so the answer they gave us was they were going to provide that back to the research and development team to see. Then, of course, the pandemic hit. And it's an American-based company, and they were originally hit harder than we were. So they really shut down there for about a year. So that my understanding is they're getting back to their normal state. And I've left a few voicemails and emails for them to call me back. I'm thinking that they had other bigger issues to kind of tackle once they reopen. So we're hoping to hear back from them to see if during the downtime, if they actually research that. So our hope, Jeremy, is that they're going to be able to tweak that software so that we can provide outside access to our suppliers. With that being said, there is a chance that we may not. There may be a chance that they just won't do it for their own internal reasons, because they want to sell you that same software, right? They want to sell, they're in the business of selling their software and they don't want multiple users. Now, even though we're all kind of under the same umbrella, and that's the way we kind of sold it, is that, Clearview Township technically, indirectly kind of owns, the Station on the Green. So, and all the other halls. And so they said, okay, well then let's look into it. So we're still in a bit of a waiting pattern with that. I'm hoping to have some news soon, some good news, but please be advised, we may never be able to provide that service to you folks. And I was pretty clear at the onset, this wasn't a guarantee. We're going to explore, we're going to try, and we're going to work with them, but it wasn't a guarantee that we could provide that service. And that's why I mentioned to Linda, when you guys were looking at a new software and a new booking agent, that, don't rely on us at this point. If the township can come through in the future, fantastic, and we'll be able to save you some money. But if we can't, then you're going to have to live without us until we change software. Now, one last point I guess I could say is that when we went out for proposals for the software, we received 6 different suppliers, and the price tag was anywhere between $95,000 with a $15,000 annual fee, right down to Rec Desk, where they didn't have an upfront cost, and they cost the township about $8,000 a year. So they were kind of like the cheaper, but the reason why they were cheaper is because they were cloud-based versus most of the other suppliers. We had to buy equipment to bring into our facilities. And so in essence, for the Station on the Green, we would have had to buy, a $6,000 computer system to be put into your building to speak to the overall system. The cloud-based was pretty neat. And we were thinking of the halls when we chose a cloud-based because you can access that from anywhere. You can access it from your home if you wanted to. But it had a corresponding price tag. So, so we kind of got, you kind of pay for what you get. And we're finding out that one of the anomalies in all this is the fact that, we can't provide access to outside suppliers. So again, it could be reviewed, or maybe even we look at, the township, maybe in the distant future, look at spending the extra funds for you to have your own system, your own Rec Desk system that our staff can manage from our end. You know what I mean? Like have 2 softwares with 1 staff versus, so, I mean, there's different options, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But the first domino is to explore with Rec Desk the opportunity of them tweaking their software to meet our needs. I know it's a long answer, and I apologize, a long-winded answer, but it's in detail, and I was trying to do my best to try to explain it.
Thank you, Terry. I know Per had his hand up again. Per?
So, question for you, if I may. With respect to booking, I had not intention to bring this up, but since others have made reference to the agreement between the foundation and Clearview, here is my question. Why would Clearview have let the board of the station down by allowing the foundation to create a management committee, which essentially could override any booking made by the station should there be two bookings at the same time. In my opinion, the board has been thoroughly let down by the mayor in allowing this clause.
And I apologize, I don't fully understand the question. And you're breaking up a little bit with me, Per, but so I apologize, I don't fully understand what the question is. And maybe if you want to, somebody else can explain it a bit more in detail.
Well,
Per, are you talking about the management committee of the Village Green?
the foundation, as is referred to in the agreement. What I'm saying is that if we make a booking at the station and they have an event scheduled in the green, they themselves have formed a committee which will judge which event will go forward or not. Why would we be put in such a position by the mayor?
So if I understand correctly, the Creemore Foundation's committee will not be managing or overruling any events at the station on the green. Those would be two separate events, two separate organizations. If I'm understanding correctly, I think you're saying that the Village Green or that committee will be deciding which events will take place at the station on the green?
That is correct.
Yeah, that's not happening. I don't know who mentioned that or why you, but that's not happening. I mean, the Village Green events will be for the Village Green Park only, and Station on the Green events will be for the Station on the Green Park building.
Okay, so let me just read to you what the contract says. It says, in the event of a conflict of interest that remains unresolved, it will be taken to the MC for mediation and all decisions shall be binding and final on all parties. So I don't know how you could say that, Terry.
Again, I apologize, Per. I don't fully comprehend the question that's being asked. Maybe we can put it in a bit of an email so I can maybe clarify that further. But I don't know. I don't even know which contract you're referring to. So I apologize. I'm just missing a lot of information.
Hey,
If you guys
Terry.
send me an email, I could perhaps try to reply.
Terry,
Yeah. Hey, Brian.
in the management agreement under
Brian.
section 4 miscellaneous, under the program coordinator role.
Yeah.
That's section 4.1. It states the program coordinator will coordinate the events that will take place in the Village Green, together with the activities planned for Station on the Green, to ensure a minimum of disruption for both parties with adjacent activities.
Yeah.
So that's basically saying there will be care taken to keep things together and not conflicting with each other. In the event of a conflict of interest that remains unresolved, it will be taken to the management committee for mediation, and all decisions shall be binding and final on all parties. So in the case of two events that are in conflict with each other, we can't resolve it. It goes to the management committee and they will try to mediate it, but their decision will be binding and final on all parties. I think that's what Per is referring to.
And is the management committee, just out of curiosity, what does management committee mean? Does it mean their management committee
Their
or is there
No,
their management committee?
Yeah.
If it means that, then we've got a bit of a problem.
But we already have a
Really?
solution. Then we have a solution. We insisted there's somebody that's sitting on their management committee from Station on the Green. And it could be our booking agent.
Let me take that back with me, folks, and let me get back to you. For some reason, don't hold me to this. My gut tells me that wasn't the intent of that wording, because the management committee that that Stuart is bringing up, it's Again, it's fairly new concept. So let me take that back. Let me double check, because when that agreement was made, I don't think that was the intent. So let me reread that section. Brian, thanks for sharing that. Let me reread it. And I'll get back to the board in writing by email to clarify what that means.
Terry,
Thank you, Terry.
I think that section recognizes the fact that there would be conflict potentially from time to time. And if that arises, there has to be a way to deal with it. So I think that's what it's attempting to do. However, the wording, the way it's worded right now, it seems to leave the final decision to their management committee. And I think what Patty is saying is that if there's a group that has to make that decision, then both sides should have representation in that group to make it fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in this, it does say management committee is the Village Green Management Committee, and then it gets referred to all the way through as MC. Therefore, that's what they're talking about. They are talking about that. So they are saying that basically their management committee would be the decider.
Fair?
Pierre, would you want to say?
So during the meeting also, Stuart brought up over the next couple of years, we'll be working together. And I just wanted to clarify that it is not just a 20-year contract that they have, but my understanding from reading the agreement is that it is renewable for another 20 years. So in fact, it's a 40-year contract. Is that correct?
If that's what it says in the agreement, Per, yes, that would be correct.
But it wasn't,
Wow.
it wasn't renegotiated every 5 years, wasn't it? Is it done in 5-year increments, or can it be another 20-year?
Yeah, it is in 5-year increments, up to 20 years. Again, I don't have the agreement right in front of me at the moment. I wasn't aware that you guys were going to bring up agreement issues. But like I said, if that's what it says in the language of that agreement, then yes, that would be correct. But yeah, it is 5 years. So it's basically 4 5-year contracts for 20 years. But if it says another additional 20 years, then that's what it says. But again, I can get back to you on that specific language or clarification on the language if you so choose.
Okay.
Anything else for Terry, guys? Then Terry, you're welcome to stay, or you can leave, whatever is your choice.
I'll let you guys further on with your meeting. Again, I thank you for inviting me as well. And again, I'm available anytime that you guys, just send a request out if you want my presence at any future meetings. I'll get back to you on those 2 items, the 4.1 that Brian and Per were referring to, and I'll also look at that, the 40-year concept that Per was also referring to, and I'll get back to you via email.
Would you please, when you're looking through this contract, look through everything and look through it from the view of the station on the green? Look at it there, please.
I can try to put your lens on.
Thank you. That I would appreciate. Thank you very much.
Okay, have a good day, folks.
All right. Now may we go on to the financial report, or is there anything else we'd like to talk about, guys, on this topic?
Well, I wouldn't mind knowing when we first saw this agreement between Clearview and the foundation, because personally, I'm appalled that we would not have been shown this and asked questions about it prior to its signing.
Well, Per, as far as I've seen it, when you've seen it, I don't remember seeing anything prior to. Yeah, if I'm wrong, if I'm incorrect, I'm sorry. I don't remember seeing anything prior to this. Does anyone else?
No.
And I guess this is when we first seen it.
Good pickup there.
Yeah. And grateful that you guys had it in front of you. Good questions posed there, and hopefully we're going to get a little bit more cooperation from the future management group for the Village Green. I think there needs to be, this is the opportunity for us to have that.
Yeah, we do need that, as they keep mentioning, synchronicity is incredibly important.
Yes.
All right, shall we go on to the financial report, just so we can keep going here? Ryan?
Oh, yeah, I'm still recovering from your using the word synchronicity. Wow, Linda.
Why?
I love that word. I love it.
All right, sorry. Did I use it incorrectly?
Oh, you used it really well.
All right, thank you. All right.
I know, that goes back to big band swing music. I love it.
That's me, sorry, old.
Okay, so as far as our balance as of today, or May the 14th, is $7,469.39. And I'll be writing a check to our custodian for $278.25 at the end of the month. So we still have a relatively healthy balance to pay our bills. I still do not get the bank statements. For some reason, they're really slow sending them. And I don't get Enbridge statements, and I can't even go online to read them. So I can only tell what the Enbridge costs are till when I get the bank statement and it shows it there. So I don't know what's going on. But that's basically where we're at. And I was a little concerned about the hydro costs and so on with the construction. But it's because there was a blip, but I went back a couple of years and it's more of an historical pattern. So I don't think they're encroaching on ours. We're not paying that stuff for them. So that's fine. So that's basically it, unless there's any questions.
Thank you,
I-
Brian.
I have a question.
Patty?
So I'm sorry, I didn't have the budget in front of me, but I'm going to ask you, Brian, how much are we spending on hydro? And is there not an advantage to us piggybacking on the Village Green electricity and have 1 meter? It just seems like an opportunity missed if we don't act on it within 30 days.
Patty, the expense to run cabling underground to connect to theirs, we don't have that kind of money, believe me.
And I can't see that we would get any cost advantage there because we would still be paying our share. We don't get a discount on using more electricity. Your bill just gets up higher and they would pay their share, we would pay our share, and it would carry on as we are right now. I don't see an advantage to that.
Patty,
Thank you, guys.
in my career at the airport, I laid miles and miles of cabling and had lots to do with power programs. It is not worth considering, believe me.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks for
Thank you.
answering that.
Now, we already talked about outdoor garbage receptacles, so I think we're okay there at this point in time, unless anybody wanted to say anything else. Anthony?
Well, we didn't discuss, are we gonna be putting any receptacles outside? Now, we've both seen the problem that's going on. People are dropping their
Problem.
garbage, doggy bags around the station. There's no garbage. People are eating their lunch there. There's picnic tables there. And we have not discussed,
Well,
we will put out
there are-
some receptacles.
There are no picnic tables right now, are
Yes,
there?
there is, right in front. I've watched people have lunch there all the time.
Okay. Well, if we put out a garbage receptacle, then we have to, I mean, as we were told by Terry.
Well, and as things start opening up, Debbie's jobs will be increasing also. So this might be just another part of her job to increase that. I mean, we can't have, people are using the station outside.
Yeah, I've seen people sitting on the benches outside.
And
And
they're
just
eating,
Yeah,
they're
just
getting
sitting
food
out the
from the
benches, yeah.
restaurants, and the only place to eat really is station, or they go to the Mad River Park, which there are receptacles there, but they're taken care of by the municipality.
Well, as I said, if we put out garbage receptacles, we also have to deal with it. And right now we have no one who can unless, and I don't know whether Debbie could deal with that or not. What do you think?
I don't think I like Terry Vachon's answer to that question. Personally, I didn't think it was reasonable for the township to take care of the garbage for the parks, but not take care of the garbage when they're driving their truck right by Village Green.
I know
And
they
they
could, they
should
should,
not.
they should come and pick up the garbage. If there's a garbage pail at the station, I would like to see them come and pick up, but they don't.
But
Pear,
they should.
Pear?
And here's to Patty's comment. The agreement that the township signed is so rife with holes. The agreement says that garbage bins and maintenance thereof will be provided in the village green by the foundation. And then 4 sentences later, it says Clearview will be responsible for the garbage. They don't know what they're doing in this contract. And I might add that it's a contract that was proposed to Clearview by the group and not a contract written by the township. As Terry himself said, they've never done anything like this before. But somebody should read this contract with a view to its legal respects.
Where is the, on what point in the contract is that information about garbage, Pear?
Well, it's under responsibilities by the foundation and then also under responsibilities by Clearview. They contradict one.
One contradicts the other. Okay, to provide responsibilities, obligations, and responsibilities of Clearview. And then Clearview says to provide garbage collection for the subject lands. Oh, I see. And then you're saying that above, it says that they deal with the garbage as well.
I think, Linda.
Oh, you know what that means? It
Collection.
means that the person who is the caretaker for the village green would take the garbage and then it would be collected by the township when it gets put out for garbage day. So I think that's what it means, because that's the way it was done. Like when Steve Davenport was doing it for us, he collected the garbage and then he was the person who put the garbage out on garbage collection day. So I'm making an assumption, but I'm assuming that's what it means.
And you can
Poorly
to a
written
legal.
with a lot of-
Pardon, Perry, you're breaking up.
I said you cannot make assumptions on a legal agreement. It must be clearly pulled out.
All right, I will, I'll look, all right, I'll see what we can do on that one too. Garbage,
Well-
I'm going to ask a question about that. Is there anything else that we should be talking about before we move on?
Can't hear you.
Brian,
say
you put your
anything.
hand up. Brian, you had your hand up?
Oh, sorry, Patty, I wasn't paying attention. Brian?
Noticed.
Yeah, it's the same with the question regarding the fountains. And Terry's answer was, well, there's an understanding that, you know, they'll do this part and we'll do that part. And like, there may be an understanding in the beginning, but at some point down the road, if there's a problem with cost or something, then suddenly the understanding goes out the window and they look at the agreement and the agreement basically says Clearview is responsible.
Well, good, that Clearview is responsible, not us. Pear?
Well, no, we are Clearview, Linda. We are.
I know. You're going to say it's our job because we're the ones who do the
Anyway,
money
enough
raising
said
for
on
it. Yeah, I know. Pear?
No, I was just going to say, and it's not our job, and it's certainly not Jeremy's responsibility any longer, and for him not to be
No.
concerned about that.
No, it is not Jeremy's responsibility at all any longer. Absolutely. Patty?
Okay, a couple questions. Number one, who picks up the garbage off the street in Creemore? And the garbage-
Actually, the person who does that, Steve Davenport, is hired by the BIA. And Steve Davenport is the person who goes around and does that for the BIA.
He still does it? I thought they retired.
No, I'm talking from the station, but Steve did not retire from the BIA job he has.
Okay,
And so he still does some of that, yes.
then we should retain him to do it for
Oh.
us.
It's Debbie's job, I think. Put out the garbage. She's gonna
It
be.
was the job of the custodian. And so basically, if we put out a garbage bin, yes, it would fall to Debbie.
Okay, so
And
what
to
I'm
put the
thinking of
garbage
is-
out on garbage day.
So just to clarify, I think I'm confused. So I was thinking about outdoor garbage cans that are on the street.
That's Steve Davenport.
So is there one at Station on the Green now?
No.
No,
So we definitely need one because everybody is eating outside and they're looking for places to put their dog poop.
Mhm.
yeah.
So Anthony's on the right track with this. Like, I think we need to address it. Outdoor dining is the de rigueur right now. And the weather's nice. So between the dogs and the humans, there needs to be an outdoor garbage receptacle near the picnic tables, especially once the market opens. And
Oh, the market is going to be out at the brewery again.
okay, well,
Yeah,
I'm thinking about, that's too far from us for garbage. So we need an outdoor garbage receptacle. Wouldn't you
All right,
agree?
we still have a garbage receptacle, don't we? Is it in that section outdoors somewhere?
Yes, there are the ones with the wooden pieces
Yeah.
around it. They're
Yeah.
in the little storage area at the side, and there's also 4 plastic ones in there too. So there's
Well, the
about
only one
10.
we would want to put out, I think, is that wooden one right now,
Yeah,
isn't it?
maybe 2, and that's it.
All right, now, right now, where would you even put them? Like, you can't put them anywhere where the hoarding is. You'd want to put them on what, the Caroline Street side?
Well, yeah, maybe just
Put them near the
Picnic table.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to picture the picnic table. I'm sorry. Where is it?
It's right in front, under the main sign that says 10 Caroline Street, right under there, right where the.
Right under there is a picnic table. And I'm remembering a bench.
It
I'm
actually
not
gets
seeing a
moved
picnic
around.
table.
People have moved it around.
All right, Pear,
Be near the front entrance.
Pear.
So if we have a situation coming up now whereby the washrooms will be made available to the village green, we could perhaps save some money by taking the money that we receive from the BIA for use of the washrooms, because it's not going to be fair to charge them or to take money from them if it becomes free to the village green. And we could take that money and apply to Steve, the garbage collector, and have him include the station. If we find, as Anthony says, it's not, or it is Debbie's job as well.
Well, it is actually Debbie's job. It was Steve and Irene's job, and now it is Debbie's job. So basically, it's just, I'll have to talk to her. And then if she's agreeable to this, and if she can, like, I mean, physically, she should be able to get a garbage bag out of there, right? It's not that high that it's out of the way. Like, I could lift it, right?
Going to be her job regardless.
Yeah, all right. I will talk to her, and then once I know, then maybe we can get the one garbage pail out. And then we'll deal with that, because people are eating outdoors, you're correct. And see, quite a while ago, even before all of this COVID stuff happened, well, I think we had gotten rid of the garbage pails, but we looked into buying those, you know, those ones that are out on the main street with the waste and blah, blah, blah. And the cost was just prohibitive for us to put something like that out.
and that's
Yeah.
what I'm bringing that up again. Did Anthony not say there were 2 of those wooden type, heavy types?
Yes, that's what we'd have to use.
And then we could label one as recycle and one as trash.
And then just, but we, yeah, because that's the other issue, because we weren't then dividing, and I don't know. Anthony?
Well, and if we do open up these washrooms for the BIA, there's even more garbage.
Now, you see, now remember, we're not opening, if those washrooms open, remember, it has absolutely nothing to do with us. The BIA is going to be paying Debbie
Right.
for
Well,
it.
People come in and out of the washrooms and leave the property. They will have garbage in their hands,
Well, they might just put it in the garbage pail in the bathroom.
bite. They
And
might drop the poop around the station too in those little bags.
I
And they
know,
might drop
that
them on the
I think
boulevard,
got
like,
picked up because I called Terry and he was going to send somebody from the township to pick that up.
They moved all the porta potties and they picked it
Yes.
up. It was picked
Yes.
up.
Jeremy?
Yeah, could we, this is another topic, so hopefully that's finished, the garbage and pickup and everything.
Yes.
Okay, so this question is perhaps for Kayla, if she's still able to hear, but the last year, Terry's group looked after spraying weeds with vinegar on all this interlock stonework around the station. It's looking very messy right now, like there's a lot of grass growing up there. I know the guys are cutting the grass, but it sure would be nice if they could spray the surround with their vinegar solution and weed kill or kill the grass growing up.
Kayla,
I can ask.
are
and
you
send an
able to
email.
request that for us?
Yes. I will request.
I think in all of that, there was maybe a yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Now, there's something else I wanted to mention just to let you know before we move on. I had a phone call from Sarah. Oh, thank you, Kayla. I had a phone call from Sarah Hersoff the other day. And the BIA has received 12 chairs. And they are going out in the village, but right now they're not out. They're waiting until the lockdown is over. So I gave Sarah permission, and now those 12 chairs are being stored in the station. And she told me they would be taken out immediately as soon as the lockdown was over. And they had to deal with it fast. It was before our meeting. I said, can I wait till the meeting and get some approval? She said, I really need to get them out, get them. So Sarah they are now in the station. They will be moved as soon as the lockdown is over. They will be out, and it's 12 chairs. So if you want to shoot somebody, go ahead. But I mean, they were in trouble. They needed our help, and I gave it.
No, don't shoot the messenger. But no, that's good, Linda. But another question though that was directed to you. Terry said that he'd sent some email around to you. I'm not sure that did get distributed or not. But do you know what?
It was a little thing about something that Terry had said at our previous meeting. And then he made a correction, and I think it is.
So it's his apology for.
Yes, that was it.
Ah.
Yeah, I never get anything that I don't send to you guys.
Okay, thank you.
It
Except for
happens all the time.
Sarah Hershoff.
Pardon? It was a phone call. Sorry.
I can't resist.
Well, I'm sorry, but then I guess anybody else who'd like this job can have it, and then I don't have to deal
Are we
anymore.
using Debbie? Like, isn't she supposed to be taking these requests? I thought that was what we discussed at the last meeting.
Well, anyway, Sarah asked me. And Debbie and I did get an email from Sarah as well that there is a phone number, and somebody was looking into in the future booking the station for a celebration of life, but it's quite far in the future and it's a possible again. And so she sent the information to Debbie, and I know Debbie is going to look into it but again, we'll just have to wait and see because nobody knows what's happening, right? We don't know when anything can open.
You say it's a celebration of life scheduled way into the future. Is the person dead yet?
Oh, I think so. A lot of people have done this, pair. A friend of ours has passed away quite a while ago. They've never been able to have a celebration of life, and they're waiting until they can do it, and they will do it then. It's just the way people are doing it.
I just wanted to know if it was my wife that made the reservation.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was Marla, but I didn't want you to know, but you guessed. Now, is there any other new business, anything we should bring up?
Yeah, I told Lynn that when I go, I want to be cremated, and she made the appointment for next week, so.
Oh, obviously she has a plan for you. Don't worry about it. She's organized.
Well, I told her when I do go, I want all my remains spread around the property here, but I don't want to be cremated.
Oh. Okay, not my problem.
Another reason to put out trash cans.
Now, Patty, I thought you were leaving the meeting at 9:30, so obviously you missed something. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I got an email. We pushed it to 4 o'clock this afternoon. So I'm happy to see all of your smiling faces, and I'm happy to be here to refresh people's memories about things like forwarding the phone to the new booking agent person.
Well, has that not been done yet, Brian?
No, it hasn't.
Is it
But
on
you
your
are
list?
going to, you are going to be on it, aren't you?
It's on my thing to do today.
Okay,
And I'm hoping Rogers will talk to me because I don't know who set up the Rogers account. So they may or may not talk to me, but I will do my best today.
thank you. Anything else that anybody has anything to say at this point in time?
I'm happy that Anthony brought up the garbage can issues because I think that that's something that we have to, it's our contribution to the community. But I also think Clearview should be emptying them. And
No.
then they should be well, don't say no yet. Let me just finish. Okay?
I've already said no.
Just let me say something. I think if they were at the curb at the end of the driveway, or excuse me, the walkway on Caroline Street, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to use them to empty their cars, but it's still a service. And why, if they're picking up garbage on the street on, is it Friday? Why wouldn't they just pull the bags out from there and put them into the garbage truck? Like, what's too tough with that?
It's not their job.
Is that what that is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Your union. It's not their job.
Oh, boy.
They
Well,
went-
listen, I think we should send a memo.
In November, the
town
moment
hall.
we get out of the truck, they got automated trucks to come pick up our garbage in November.
I know, pretty soon there's not even getting out of the truck, right? We're all getting new bins. And everything
see, I'm
just,
so out
yeah.
of the loop. Sorry.
so listen, yeah, Anthony, do you remember too, I'm sure we must have, does anybody know where the garbage bags, like, you know, they're big, heavy duty garbage bags, aren't they? They have to be in the station somewhere. Has anybody got any idea where?
Really?
Well, I'll try to go in and look, and if I have no luck, if anybody else wants to go in, look, Anthony, you maybe it's in the, you know how to get in through the kitchen door, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so your front door key works there. Just see if we can find them so that if we decide to put out one bin, that Debbie is, or two bins, as you suggested, and put the word recycling on one of them. Just to, I wouldn't count on people recycling, by the way, on doing that. They'll just throw in the closest bin to them. But anyway, let's just get them out. Maybe you could help so that we could actually move things and figure out a logical place.
Yeah.
Or that would be great. When you're not working on stone. And is there anything else that we should be bringing up at this point in time? Because if not, our next meeting is June 16th at 9 a.m. And I am ready to adjourn the meeting at 10:36. Is everybody acceptable?
Wait a minute.
Pardon?
Can we send an email to township, or is Kayla going to cover this off, about the conflicts that they've identified in the agreement with Village Green and the garbage issue, and whether or not we can piggyback on that? Is that our responsibility now as a board? Should I pass a motion to say that we should send them an email? Or is it Kayla going to do research and report back in June to us?
Kayla? Terry is reviewing the agreement and will follow up, is what Kayla just sent back. So we're good?
Thank you. Okay, good.
And I will email Terry now regarding the spray
Great.
for the, all right? Anything else? Brian?
Might I suggest that all the board members take a look at the agreement between Clearview and the Community Foundation with a view to any areas that we might have questions, and also any areas where we might cooperate and work together, so that we're not sideswiped on anything. But maybe at our next meeting, we could discuss that and put together some kind of email or letter requesting or follow up on those particular items. Because there are areas where I think we can cooperate, but when I look at the agreement, the mechanism by which we do that doesn't really seem to be there. And Terry did mention that they're meeting once a year, and then he mentioned they were going to meet every month for the first 6 months. I haven't heard anything about that since. And if they're meeting, would we be involved in that meeting? Would be helpful if we were involved in that meeting, because there's things that we could work together on and to our mutual benefit. I think it's something we should put on the agenda for the next meeting. So, people could look at it and come up with ideas or areas where we could cooperate for both our benefits, and we could go forward with that.
Okay, well, because I know they are planning on having meetings early. Like, yes, Pear.
Yes, I agree with what Brian said and what Patty said earlier. There should be somebody from our group on that management committee.
I actually have already made that suggestion to Sue Ann. I felt exactly the same way, Pear. And I think if we put that in the minutes here, Kayla, I think that's important. And I don't know, we have to vote on that and say, make a motion that we feel that somebody from the Station on the Green board should be on the management committee of the Village Green. Is this something that requires a motion?
And
Kayla?
if you could let the minutes reflect that this idea came from Patty.
Well, it's got here, it said, Kayla just said, yes, we need a motion.
Okay, so I'll make the motion that we would request that a member, a representative of Station on the Green be appointed to the management group committee for Village Green.
And Pear, are you seconding that?
I'll second it.
All in favor,
I second.
please? And it's carried. Thank you. Very good idea. I know that, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Hopefully that does happen. I 100% agree with that. Because we're too close. We're too related. You will pass a motion to name your rep on that board. Oh, we would choose who the representative would be. Is that what you're saying, Kayla? That would be up to us to do that. Okay. I think that's what she's saying. If they, no. Yeah, all right. Yes, we'll add this motion, but
Of
you
course,
will
we-
need an additional one once what?
Once the-
She means that we need to put another motion together that we will be the responsible for selecting our representative.
All right, who would like to make that motion? That the Station on the Green board will be responsible for choosing the representative on the, no, she's just saying no. Wait,
We choose one.
It's when we choose the name, the person, we need to make a motion to delegate that person as a candidate for that board. That's what she's saying.
I mean, so first we choose the person, then no, it says wait until they say yes, we will have a rep and then yes, Jeremy. So
Yes.
first we have to wait till they say yes to that, then we choose the person. Okay,
Yes.
And if they say no, we have a problem.
if they say no, we have a problem.
And we put up the 40-foot wall.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Anything else we have to deal with? Are we good?
Good.
So now can I adjourn the meeting?
Thank you.
Jeremy, yes?
No, thank you. That's good.
All right, the meeting is then adjourned at 10:42. Everybody enjoy this lovely sunny day.
Thanks, Linda.
Thanks
Have a
so
nice
much.
day.
Thank you all for